My name is Sarnail Singh. I'm President-elect of CCIM Central Canada chapter, an agent with Home Life Maple Leaf. I specialize in selling commercial and residential real estate serving in and around GTA. There is no doubt that businesses are facing challenges and issues during this pandemic. Small businesses, including retail and manufacturing business owners, are facing many challenges, including but not limited to business or commercial lending. We cannot think of closing a business or real estate transaction without financial help from banks or other lending institutions. And not to forget the existing businesses looking money for their working capital requirement to run their business day to day. Now, question is how these issues or challenges are going to be addressed by lending institution during COVID-19. To discuss this, I have invited today's guest, Jay Dwivedi. Jay Dwivedi is a mortgage broker servicing GTA and surrounding areas, specialized in business and real estate financing. He has over 20 years of experience in commercial and residential banking. His experience of working with BMO, RBC, and CIBC bring immense experience to address today's topic. So welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Sarnail. Thank you for having me on the show here today.
You're welcome. So Jay, my first question to you is, what is your outlook on the economy at this time from a business financing and from a real estate perspective?
Okay, so we are, as you will imagine, as you will agree with me as well, is we are in very unprecedented times, to say the least. There is a huge sense of fear, anxiety that the human race has probably not seen in their lifetimes ever. There is if you look at certain population, certain segment of the population, there is kind of a whole generation of population that we are losing now to this horrible virus, right? Mm-hmm. So things are, overall it is, things are very uncertain. There is fear in the minds of the people, and it has got direct impact on a lot of businesses. As we all know that a lot of the client-facing businesses, for example, restaurants, taxi industries, hotel industries, airlines industry, you name it, the list goes on and on, are all suffering because of the steps that we have to unfortunately take to reduce the impact of COVID-19. And that has a direct relationship in what the outcome is right now in the economy. Keeping all of the economy closed for close to 60 or 90 days in some countries is not a small task. And it comes with its own financial challenges as well, no matter how the government is willing to help and whatever they are able to do for the community, it still has a long-lasting impact. So overall, there are a lot of challenges. However, having said that, there is some great initiatives that the government is taking. So I don't want to sound all negative. There are a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of businesses who have taken steps to modify their production lines. So for example, alcohol and beer companies have changed and started making sanitizers. There is a lot of other options available as well, opportunities available as well that the companies are leveraging on, and also the government is stepping up like never before, along with the banking partners. So yeah, it is what it is right now, but there is definitely a lot to do, a lot to accomplish, and to steer in a different direction going forward as well.
Right, but what is the current lending situations by banks?
So here's the situation. The thing is, I would say, banks, like any other lender would, let's think of it in a broad way, right? Not just isolate banks in general, but if you look at it in a broader perspective, the question comes about lending to a particular project, right? So whether it is a housing project, whether it's a single individual house, whether it is a business, commercial establishment, whatever it is, we have to look at it as to what is the risk that it poses, right? So there are challenges in terms of the valuations. Like I said, there is also a fear in the economy as whether the prices will hold or not. So if you bought a custom built a $3 million house, do we know if the value of this house will remain as 3 million after everything is said and done, after the COVID situation wards off, right? So we don't know. So there's an increase, there is an increased uncertainty about the valuations. It has also tested the operating skills of a lot of the operating companies. Uh, so it has become even more prevalent, and it's got more stringent upon the owners to perform in this kind of an environment and to prove themselves. So, is it very easy to borrow from banks? No, it is not, right? The criteria are still the same, but it has become a little more challenging for businesses to prove what they say they can bring to the table. And obviously, if there is a absence of customer base that we have seen, the sales are normally down for the last 3 to 4 months. Each and every business, I would say, has looked at a decline seen a decline in their sales and their customer base. So, they're all being reviewed on a case-to-case basis. Banks are still open for business. They're always willing to do business as long as it makes sense. It's just that one has to be a little more careful in terms of their expectations and what banks might be willing to do. They may not be able to give you as many exceptions as they might have previously, but for obvious reasons as well.
So, Jay, which businesses are hit the most and will need more help to bounce back?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have too much of good news in this respect for you, sir, now, because when you talk about which businesses have been impacted, unfortunately, it's each and every business has been impacted in some way or the other, right? Some have been impacted directly because of this situation, and some are dependent on these direct businesses have ultimately, been impacted. For example, I'll give you a small example here. Is a laundromat, for example. Laundromat has no direct relationship with the restaurant or with the airline industry or with the travel agency, but they are impacted because people are not going as much to work, right? They're at their homes, they're working from home. Uh, and also because of the fear of the spread of this virus, they're minimizing the contacts, and rightly so as well. So even a laundromat guy is kind of on and off, kind of open and then close based on the regulations and stuff like that. They have to close it. But what I'm saying is even the secondary and the tertiary businesses, which are not directly related with virus, or they're not interacting directly with the people, are also impacted. So this is, this is a very, very unfortunate incident that has happened. The wave of this virus is very something that nobody had ever thought of or prepared for, at least. And it has impacted all of the industries, some more than the others.
Now, I understand recently the federal government has announced few support programs. So can you explain these support programs and how the business or the entrepreneur can make use of them?
Yeah, so I will briefly touch on a few of them because there's quite a few programs, initiatives that the government has taken, and definitely hats off to the central government as well as the provincial government for bringing in these programs. What I would caution people to not fall for is, there's a lot of rumors going around into the media as to, to apply for this program, that program, and sometimes it is not accurate. So best thing to do is basically go to Government of Ontario website or the central government website as well and look for the information. So gov.gc.ca. In terms of the different economic response programs that the government has come up, it is divided into 3 different segments on their website as well. One is support for the individuals, support for the businesses, and support for the different sectors of the businesses. So just a few examples on support for the individuals. There is individuals with families who's got temporary wage top up A top-up is available for low-income essential workers, increase in child benefits. There is also a special GST tax credit payment available. Mortgage payment deferrals are also available for people who are not able to make their ends meet and not able to make the mortgage payments. So that is also available. They can always go to their financial institution and ask for 6 months of payment deferral on the principal portion as well. Apart from that, people facing loss of income can also apply for the CERB, Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, and they get approximately $2,000 a month. It's a weekly payment, but they can also apply for 1 month at a time, and they can apply for that as well. It's very straightforward. You go onto your CRA website, just click onto the check mark on the criteria that whether you qualify or not. And once you do qualify, you just you get the funds available to you in your bank account. There is also a ton of programs available for the indigenous people as well, addressing their immediate needs of the indigenous community, providing support to indigenous and post-secondary students, people who need the most, basically, in terms of improving access to essential food supports. Then there is for seniors, which is reduced minimum withdrawals of RRSP income funds as well. So they've relaxed some of the amounts of RRSP withdrawal without any tax implications, temporarily extending the guaranteed income supplement and allowance payments as well. For youths, post-secondary students and recent graduates, they have the Canadian Emergency Student Benefit program available, helping students continue their studies in the fall. Launch of a new national service initiative is available as well. So there's quite a few of those. Basically, if you go into the canada.ca website, you can see all of these support benefits. Talking about businesses, especially in terms of the small businesses, their government is helping small businesses to avoid layoffs and to rehire the employees. So there is a Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy available, which is $40,000 available. And if you would have followed the news, the criteria were relaxed almost 3 times already, from the initial 50,000 of payroll income, payroll expenses, to up to $10,000 now. So keep updated yourself, because if a business or an individual did not qualify for a program at one point of time, it doesn't mean that you cannot qualify for it going forward. Keep an eye on it, because this is changing as on a weekly basis, or if not day-to-day basis. There's also a temporary 10% wage subsidy benefit, extending the work share program. Then there is a business credit availability program available. Canadian Emergency Business Account, CEBA, is available to employees. There is also benefits for the large companies as well, like large employee emergency financing facility, Canadian Emergency Commercial Rent Assistance as well, wherein the government is pitching in approximately 50% of the rental for the landlords. The landlord is only responsible for 25%, and then the tenant is responsible for the 25% of it. So, you're getting basically 75% relief on your rent, which is huge. Regional Relief and Recovery Funds, RRRF, is available. So there's also initiatives for women entrepreneurs as well. And there's a lot of other job creations initiatives that the government has taken as well. So as you can see, whether you are a small business, one person, one man show, or a one woman show, to a large corporation with hundreds of employees, there is definitely a program for you that the government has thought through, and they're ready to help you out. And they're working very closely and tirelessly with the banks, with other financial institutions, and with the businesses to get them up to speed. They're helping them on their day-to-day needs, as well as long-term going forward basis as well, so that they are well prepared to open up their doors as soon as it is possible, and it is safe for everyone.
Thanks for explaining it. And so my next question is, now all these support programs which are there, which you just mentioned, this is for the existing business owners. Now, what about the new startup business owner? And what he need to be aware of about financing.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. You brought it up. Thanks, Sarnal, for that. Whenever, as you can imagine, whenever there is a new business, somebody starting up, or somebody is purchasing a business, and it has been there for a long period of time, but it is new for this new individual, new entrepreneur, right? So we consider that to be a new business for this person. Earlier, what has happened now in the light of everything that has happened is that the past few months of sales history has almost become negligible, if not, if it's manageable, it's barely anything in there, right? So it's almost being wiped out in a way. So it is becoming a very challenging situation for new businesses, let alone the existing businesses. They're already in trouble, but the new businesses as well. So what I want, again, it's not that businesses are not there for sale. I'm sure you, under your leadership as well, and under your brokerage, there are businesses for sale. The banks are also willing to finance and help businesses as well. Acquisition is happening. If you plan to buy a business, again, buying a business is not a one-day thing. People would have prepared and thought about this for like 6 months, 1 year, 9 months, 3 months, whatever the time they may have taken. So they've already initiated all of this a long time back. But what I would urge them to think about is that, especially in terms of acquiring that business, is this the right time? And especially if that's, let's say, for example, if you're into a restaurant business, and if the government opens up the restaurants but restricts the number of seating capacity to half, let's say, or 1/3, would the business be able to make the similar kind of revenues as you were expecting when you made the offer to purchase the business, right? That is one thing. The other thing as well is there is a huge increase in the requirement for operating funds as well, because if your sales are down, and if they are anticipated to be down for an extended period of time, and if you're only surviving based on takeouts and delivery orders, then if you acquire a new business today, do you have, let's say, 1 year worth of working capital as compared to having 6 months of working capital as you previously might have, right? So there's no right or wrong answer there. What I'm suggesting for the buyers is to make sure that they evaluate all of the aspects of the business, make sure that their decision is still valid in terms of if that is a genuine and a profitable business that they still want to get into. And if they have made their decision that yes, it is profitable and this is what they want to do, make sure that you're prepared for it as well, because
Right.
then may not be willing to help you too much. So people have to be a little more aware of that as well. So those are some things that one has to, but again, there's loan programs available, government guaranteed loan is there, CSBFL is there. So, everyone is open for business as long as it makes sense. So moving on, can I ask you a couple of questions as well, sir? Now that I have the
Sure. Go ahead, please.
pleasure to have you one-on-one as well.
Yes, yeah.
Otherwise, you're a hard man to get hold of as well, right? So
please go ahead. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can always.
Yeah, so you being in the real estate, and obviously you are the face of the large brokerage as well, Home Life. Home Life is a big brokerage, as everyone knows. We don't have to say anything more about it. But having tons and tons of customers, can you tell us exactly, what are some of the conversations you're having and what your clients are asking you?
Like, from a business clientele perspective, one of the question is at this moment is the business currently running? If it's a restaurant, is it running or no? Okay. Or do you have a best deals where the sellers are desperate to sell and looking for quick exit? Or, what's the best business to be in? Or can he get the lending for, these businesses? What's the future for retail businesses?
Right.
Is BTV available from seller? Will training provided by seller? Or how does financials look pre and post COVID? Is there any existing contract with customers?
Right.
How old are the equipments and chattels? Will employees stay after closing? Environment due diligence phase 1 and 2, so on. So these are some of the questions. There are a lot others too, but as I mentioned, these are some of the questions which I come across nowadays.
Right. Very, and these are very pertinent questions as well. As you can imagine, even the lenders and the banks are also asking these questions as well, right?
Right.
What impact pre and post COVID, and how can you sustain and how can you survive with everything that's going on? That's great, amazing. What is the biggest fear that you feel is your clients have at this time?
From a fear perspective, I would say, like one of them is the future of retail business. If someone is buying a retail business, so what's the future, or, the mounting rent and the forced closure. So what happens if this COVID come back again, right?
Right.
And then they're in a situation they're not able to run the business. Can those rents be deferred? They want to put those clauses in, or dealing with the information overload. Now, if you go to a website, you go online, so
Yeah.
much of stuff out there. So
Yes.
it's an information overload for them, which they are not able to digest. Or, will COVID-19 have a second wave or no? Restaurants, like major businesses, is from sit out, right? And they get most of their business or margins from people come in and, drink or eat food in the restaurant. Will it be back to normal? Or will they get financing? Will the business be back as pre-COVID, or future uncertainty? So these are some of, the biggest fears which I heard. At the end of the day, what I think is anyone who want to buy businesses taking action and moving forward,
Yeah.
and avoid analysis paralysis. You don't want to think too much and then don't take a decision.
Right. Absolutely.
And I got a quick question for you, Jay. What can you do to help clients from a mortgage financing perspective, both for commercial and residential?
Perfect. Thank you so much for that question. Yeah. So we are open for business in a way that we are working virtually nowadays. So I've set up my home office as well, as you can see in the background. So we're working from home. My team is all working as well. So what we do is encourage people to connect us through our website, www.jdlending.ca. You can give me a call as well, 647-801-4686, or send me an email at jay@jdlending.ca. And I'm sure you'll put up the card, so my details would be there as well. Uh,
Yep.
And
I will write your contact information in the below the YouTube video, so people can have access to you.
yeah, and my mortgage broker number as well, so that is mandatory, right? So
Right.
there, so clients can connect with us anytime that they want and any way that they choose to do that. We're obviously maintaining social distance right now. Having said that, we are working very closely with all of the different banks and credit unions and financial institutions as well, be it the A lenders, the B lenders, or the private lenders as well. I've been doing some businesses for different companies right now. In terms of unit purchase, there's one deal I'm doing right now. So there's different programs that are available. There is business as usual. What it means is that we are working a lot more diligently and a lot more closely with your clients, and providing giving them an understanding of what the expectation should be, what they should be prepared for, as well as making each and every effort possible to make sure that the banks and the institutions are also on board with the clients, and they're lending as and when it makes sense to lend as well. So, we're open for business. Hopefully this is a temporary thing, and I know it is a temporary thing. It'll get over very soon. So let's, if we have sat on the sidelines to make our decision, I think this is a time, as you rightly said, that connect with professionals like yourself. And analysis is paralysis. I really agree with you. Don't do too much of that. Trust your professionals, and we'll go from there.
Thank you very much, Jay. I know you're busy. It was hard to get you, but thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, your knowledge. And definitely I'll share this recording with participants and have it upload on YouTube for others to view. And we have more such real estate talks coming soon. So stay tuned and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, now for having me.